Hello everybody, John 12 back here again with another video, and I'm back with another top 5. Last week was San Diego Comic-Con weekend, so obviously it was Comic-Con madness. So many amazing stuff went out. I made multiple videos on it. If you've not seen any of them, please go to my channel and check out pretty much everything that I recapped. Majority of it is obviously comic book related and comic book movie related, but you know, it's still awesome. So definitely check it out. But obviously because Comic-Con was happening, I didn't have enough time in the day to pretty much make a video dedicated to a top 5. So because that's pretty much the way things went, I did not put out a top 5, so that's why this it was kind of delayed. But that being said, today is all about Batman v Superman top 5s again. Yes, I'm doing another one. Originally I was going to do something that was Comic-Con related for this top 5, but I thought, like, you know what, seeing as how that was last week, I don't want to, like, continue to, you know, beat a dead horse. So today, let's just get right into another iteration of my Batman v Superman top 5s. And of course, if you don't know what that technically means, essentially is I dedicated a significant portion of my top 5 segments dedicated to Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And of course, every single couple of weeks, I make a specific top 5 dedicated to Batman and or Superman, which will lead up into the eventual release, theatrical release of Batman vs Superman. It's pretty much just hyping, and it's just hype. That's all you have to know. But that being said, based off the title and description, you guessed it. Yes, it's all about the bat suits. Yes, the costumes, the amazing battle armors, and you know, everything that makes the man, the Batman. And of course, seeing as how Batman and Superman, to a certain extent, have had 75 years of different writers and different comic book artists. Of course, they have changed the look of The Dark Knight and Man of Steel for many, many years. And today I give you my top 5 favorite and what I personally think to be the most significant and badass and personally the best Batsuits out of the entire continuities of this specific character. But that being said, for the specific list, I will not be choosing suits or costumes that are specifically armored suits. I will not be picking costumes from the movies, the animated shows, or the video games. And I will also not be choosing those specific suits that made it into the comic books. It will be specifically just comic book continuity suits, and of course alternate versions of the Batman suits in the comic books. Pretty much any kind of suit that's been in a comic book that's not a pre-existing suit from somewhere else is pretty much what this is going to be. So essentially you keep that in mind. But that being said, let's get right down into this list. Coming up in number 5 has to go down to a personal favorite of mine, which has to be Thomas Wayne Batman suit from Flashpoint and Earth 2. Now, of course, Thomas Wayne, for those of you who don't know, is obviously Batman from Earth 2, and of course during the Flashpoint Paradox storyline, in which Batman / Bruce Wayne was actually murdered, and Thomas Wayne took on the mantle of Batman, and of course Martha Wayne, who of course is the mother and wife, essentially became the Joker. So, of course, in this alternate reality where shit went wrong, Thomas Wayne is the Batman, and he's a much more badass, much more sadistic, much more kicking ass and taking names kind of freaking Batman. He's a Batman, he's an older Batman that's not afraid to kill and destroy to get what he wants and get crime to an absolute zero. So that's pretty much Thomas Wayne. But the great thing about Thomas Wayne Batman is that it doesn't take the normal attributes of the average Batman suit that we all know and love. Essentially, it's taken its own persona where instead of being the classic black and blue and occasionally dark gray, it has red. And I really love the touch of red with the Thomas Wayne costume. I always did. I just think a Batman with glowing red eyes instead of the classic white eyes just looks so badass and amazing to look at. That's why Thomas Wayne's Batman suit is on this list, because I just always liked how his costume looked, and whether it be the Flashpoint version or the Earth 2 version, doesn't really matter. The fact is, it's red and black, and that's fucking awesome. That being said, moving off of that and going to number 4 on this list, has to go down to Batman Incorporated. Batman Incorporated took the classical Silver Age, kind of modern age Batman suit and pretty much redid it. And it's kind of like what inspired Jeff Johns to do his Earth 1 kind of Batman suit. Essentially, it's taking the classical oval, but making it a more realistic shield that actually glows, which is awesome, giving it a very material, military-esque kind of battle suit. And it just looks like your average plasticky kind of spandex kind of bat suit, but make it more armored, but in a more comic book kind of way, which is always awesome. I just really enjoy the design. It's just a revamp of your classical Batman suit, and the fact that you just have your average suit, but it has a real good redesign, it's just fucking awesome. It's like if you're into cars, and then they just redesigned the new Camaro. It's still the Camaro, but you love it because of the new redesigns. That's how I feel about Batman suits. It's a completely nerdy segue, but it's still awesome. But moving off of that, and going to number 3 on this list, has to go down to Frank Miller's Batman. Frank Miller's Batman, specifically The Dark Knight Returns, is specifically a batsuit that I love and keep close to my heart. Frank Miller obviously broke the mold when it came to Batman. Prior to Frank Miller taking on the Batman, Batman was very bright, he's very colorful. He was essentially just, not taken seriously. He was, specific, like, through the 60s and through the 70s, he wasn't the extraordinarily amazing, Dark Knight that we all know and love today, but it wasn't until Frank Miller redesigned him and completely made him more harsh, more badass, more dark, and I love the multiple suits that Frank Miller give, and specifically his Dark Knight Returns storyline, which of course is the classical blue and gray suit, which with the oval, and then of course he redesigned it and gave it the black and gray. And I just really love the new symbol, the new suit itself. And then he even went any further and created the armored Batsuit, which of course is heavily inspired for Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice armor suit. Overall, Frank Miller knows Batman better than anyone else, and to a certain extent, depending on your personal preference, going onward from, Dark Knight Returns. But overall, Dark Knight Returns will always have, a close place in my heart, and for that specific storyline, which is amazing if you've not read it, and the costumes that he has, and the suits he has, and specifically that second suit that he takes on for his new Dark Knight suit is just awesome. It's just the creme de la creme of freaking Batman suits. But moving off of that, going to number 2 on this list has to go to a personal favorite of mine, which is the New 52 suit. Now, the New 52, a lot of people have problems with specific iterations of continuities and changing, but the New 52 gave us a lot of really interesting badass stories, and Batman was definitely the creme de la creme of Batman, of awesome DC storylines within the New 52. Like Jim Lee, Greg Capullo, and fucking Scott Snyder completely dominated freaking Detective Comics and the Batman storylines for the New 52 going onward today. And the New 52 suit is just awesome. It's essentially just a really good modern day version of what Batman's suit would be today. It's completely armored, it looks badass, it's completely, tactical, advanced, and it's just a badass looking suit. And I just love how Jim Lee and Greg Capullo just completely dominating, artistically rendering this specific character. They're pretty much my 2 favorite artists to ever be working on Batman, and they created that suit, and it just looks so incredibly badass looking, and I love it. But that being said, going off of that and getting into some honorable mentions that did not get in the list but are specifically awesome, I have to go to the original Bob Kane Batman from Detective Comics 1930s, and of course, moving off of that, you have the Golden Age Batman, you have the Silver Age Batman that kind of starts the oval, yellow oval, you have the Modern Age Batman, you have Frank Miller's Year 1 Batman, you have Ezreal Batman, which is specifically armored, but, it's still a suit, it's not specifically just an armored suit, still pretty badass though. You have the freaking Batman No Man's Land, pretty badass suit. You have specifically another favorite of mine, which is Dick Grayson Batman, which is during the Grant Morrison days of Batman. Really awesome suit, love it. And of course, I really like Earth 2 Batman, which of course is, I know Thomas Wayne is Earth 2 Batman, but there's also another alternate Batman that has suspenders and other armored pieces and placements in his suit, which is also pretty badass. And obviously Earth 1 Batman, which is the Geoff Johns Batman, which more than likely will be the inspiration for Ben Affleck's Batman in the Solo 2018 The Batman solo movie, which Geoff Johns will be co-writing, allegedly, which is pretty cool. But that being said, moving off of all these amazing suits and costumes of Batman's continuity and alternate versions, has to go down to my number one pick, which is Jim Lee's Batman Hush. Batman Hush, I specifically remember reading this book and just thinking, this is my Batman. This is the Batman of my generation. Of course, I grew up with the more modern day age Batman, which of course is like in between Bronze and Modern Age, where you had like the ridiculously over-exaggerated Batman suit with the super long ears and a super exaggerated gothic looking cape. You know, obviously Tim Burton's Batman had lots of influences, so they just wanted to go super gothic. But this is the Batman that I always wanted, which is Frank Miller-esque, but taking it to another level and completely stylizing that artistic rendering and just creating a more badass, tactical, super advanced, like super strong, normal human being, but you can't do anything kind of Batman. And Jim Lee completely dominates drawing Batman, in my personal opinion. Of course, like I said, New 52 is one of my favorite suits because of Jim Lee and Greg Capullo's artistic rendering of how Batman looks in the comic books. And Jim Lee, he's like the only artist I really want to see draw Batman. He just dominates when it comes to drawing Batman. I know a lot of people have their personal gripes with Jim Lee's art and specifically the way he does Batman, and they see it as too unrealistic, but it's a comic book. Who the fuck said that it has to be realistic? I mean, the fact that Batman looks kind of like Frank Miller's Batman, but much, much younger and totally dominant and just a badass and buff, and, you know, just the way he looks and the way he kicks ass and the way he just, you know, detectively does the things that we want our Batman to do, and the way he's artistically done is just the way I want Batman to be. He's very classical looking, but he also can do pretty much anything, which is the great thing about the Dark Knight himself. And Batman Hush, or at least just the Jim Lee Batman, is my definitive Batman the way he looks. And whether that be the classic blue and gray, black and gray, or just completely black suit, the way it's drawn here specifically in Batman Hush, and specifically with Jim Lee drawing and artistically doing him, is the way I want Batman, and always like this. The way I see Batman in my head is essentially Jim Lee Batman, and specifically how he looks in Batman Hush. That's just my personal opinion. It's my personal favorite, and I personally think is the best, but it's a subjective opinion like all my lists. Now, of course, I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know in the comment section below your personal top 5 Batman suits. Also, for a quick little specific honorable mentions that I forgot to, you know, honorably mention, obviously, are of course not Geoff Johns, but Jeff Loeb Batman's, which of course is Long Halloween and onward to Dark Justice. Really awesome Batman suits, really into the lore of Frank Miller, but taking on its own kind of route. Really amazing books, and of course really awesome badass looking Batman suits. Just really awesome. But that being said, that's pretty much my top 5 as I rank them. I hope you guys personally enjoyed. Next time on this specific segment, I will be doing Superman suits, so I hope you guys look forward to that. But of course, in the comment section below, because this is a subjective opinion, let me know what your personal top 5 bat suits. If you want to include the movies or the cartoons, definitely do so. Maybe in the future, I'll definitely include them, or maybe making a specific line of top 5s dedicated to armored suits, because Batman has had multiple armored suits, so maybe I'll do that. We'll definitely see what happens, but definitely next will be Superman related. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment below, let me know what you personally thought. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been John 12.